Hello and welcome to WATCHPRO Originals. I'm Rob Corder, and today we are joined by Davide Cerrato, who's the Managing Director of Montblanc Watches. It's great to see you, David. How are things going for you right now?
Hi Rob, nice to see you too. Are going well. Home, as you can see around me, still home, but working quite hard. And for the moment, still the manufacturer closed, but it will reopen soon, end of the month.
Okay, and
as much as the boutiques, yeah.
End of the month is, I mean, there's other manufacturers beginning to open up now, maybe with limited capacity at this stage. But why do you think you need a few more weeks?
It's just a question of the programs. There are a few that are starting to open, but mainly for some specific needs. The confinement in Europe is really starting to be put together these days. It will be start to be applied a little bit more next week, and then the following one. So we're just following the direction of the Swiss Confederation and the Swiss rules.
Mm. And I mean, is that the situation across Richemont at the moment, that the manufacturing has not restarted, and will it begin again at the end of March, or do you all take your own decisions?
Yes, in reality, most manufacturers are still closed or just started to reopen very slowly. Absolutely, the measures are being lifted very, very cautiously this week. Some boutiques, some shops start to open, mainly kind of first necessity one, and the following step will be taken in the next weeks.
So let's frame this a little bit and not just talk about the current crisis. Let's put a little bit about where the business was heading before we went into this, and where it might be in a year or so's time. So tell me about 2019 as a year, and how you thought it was going to lead you into 2020. What your plans were for this year.
Yes, but the strategy that we are deploying is very consistent now, I would say, since 5 years. You have seen a very deep work that has been done on the product collection. We have basically, in the last 4 years, completely redesigned the full collection. We have streamlined a lot our offer. To clarify it, 5 years ago, we used to have 12 product lines. It was a white dial, everything was a black strap. Now we have 2 lines that are sport and that have been added in the last 3 years, Time Walker and 1858. We have 3 lines that are Star Legacy, which is the, let's say, historical classical line for Montblanc, Bohème, which is the feminine side, and then the addition of Heritage of last year, which is really fulfilled 360 degree, the new structure. 2 lines are clearly vintage, 1858 and Heritage, and the supporting evidence is that the logo that we use on the dial is the vintage one from 1930, and then each line now has a very clear a universe of reference. If I take 1858, which has really become our the new face of Montblanc, is linked to this very interesting world of outdoor, of exploration, of adventure, something that it was already very relevant, especially for the new generations. And I think after this experience we are all going through will become even more relevant.
Yeah, it certainly seems like the brand is heading in 2 complementary directions. One looking at that heritage references that you got with Minerva as well, in particular, and perhaps layering onto that a bit more of a sportiness and outdoors, active, a very active type of watch brand.
Absolutely. Minerva that you quoted is really the key, is a game changer for us, and the fact of integrating in an effective way Minerva and Montblanc is the key of everything that we have been doing in the last 5 years. As you know, Minerva has been acquired by the group in 2006 and since attributed to Montblanc, and is really the foundation of everything we are doing. We have redesigned all our product lines, taking inspiration from precise watches or periods of the history of Minerva. For example, for 1858 was the military timepieces from the 30s, and for heritage, the chronograph from the 40s. In terms of movement, all the high-end pieces are equipped with the Minerva and made and finished movement that we do completely by hand, including the spiral made in-house in Villeret. And those movements, especially the chronograph monopusher, are absolutely based, are kind of the last contemporary enhanced version of those original, very early monopusher chronograph from 1909 that were used at the time in pocket watches. So Minerva is really inhabiting everything we are doing in such a way that the new Montblanc watches are the new version of those old Minerva ones.
And it seems that you're becoming a much more vertically integrated manufacturer with far more of your own components being made, dials, hairsprings, as you just mentioned. Is that all part of the strategy to become more and more self-reliant?
We are a very unique brand because thanks to the fact that we have two manufacturers in Switzerland, one in Villeret, which is the original Minerva premises, and the other 25 kilometers away in Le Locle, allow us to have product lines where in each line you have entry products, let's say up to 5,000 euros, where we use in terms of movement standard of the market, and more Celita, very reliable, long time existing movement that allow us to create very affordable timepieces. 5,000 to 25,000 euros, we are building a new world here of in-house creations where we develop our own movement inside the company. We build them inside the group in a particular company that does movement for all the different brands, but just for Montblanc. And the Geosphere is a very good example of this. And then above 25,000 is the world of limited edition, everything done by hand from beginning to the end. All the movement are done, any single components, all the decoration by a single master watchmaker, and even the hairspring is done in-house. So those are really completely handcrafted, hand-decorated fine watchmaking pieces.
And are you becoming more vertically integrated as well when it comes to your sales channels? Do you expect to be selling a higher proportion of your watches through Montblanc stores, alongside other Montblanc accessories and time pens?
Yes, sure. What we have is that thanks to Montblanc and the long history of Montblanc, we have a big number of boutiques, our own boutique, and operated with partners. We have more than 500 boutiques worldwide, which allow us to be really present everywhere. And then we also work with long time retailers and partners. And also we have been between the very first to create an e-com platform, both with our own .com and both with Mr. Porter, Net-a-Porter, and so on. So we really cover 360-degree all the existing channels.
I mean, there's a feeling among the multi-brand retailers that I speak to all the time that many of the Richemont brands are going to want to be selling more direct to consumer over time. It's just a trend that's begun many years ago and appears to be going on today. I mean, do you think that the current situation where there's only e-commerce and the shops are all closed, do you think that could accelerate that process where Montblanc will be more direct to consumer in the future?
No, I don't think so, because as I said, our network of boutique is already quite important. We are not going to extend it more than that. As you know, we not only sell watches, but we sell also writing instrument, we sell also leather, we sell now a tech product and so on. So no, there will not be more push on on our own network than that. On the contrary, we really want to continue to develop relationship, and we keep and develop relationship with valuable partner. And the only new part, let's say, in terms of development is really the .com, and it's not just for us, it's an overall trend, the fact that more and more, and especially in US, people get used to that and now start to buy more complicated and more expensive watches also online.
Mm. And coming to this year, I mean, everybody's going through completely unprecedented times. Nobody could have planned or predicted this. But there are a few things that has happened effectively to all of us, or at least all watch brands. There's production closing down. There's travel closing down, so no Chinese customers traveling around the world and buying expensive watches. There's retailers closing. There's Watches and Wonders having to go online, so no big exhibition. And I think a fifth one I would put in is, basically we've just started a recession, a very deep recession that we have no idea how long that will take and what its impact will be. So there's all of these issues to deal with. What's your sort of impact assessment of all of those together, which have been the most challenging to deal with?
The whole situation is very challenging. It's completely new. It's the first time ever that all of us are living something like that in our lives. It's the first time that something happens with such a global impact and with such a fast deployment and impact everywhere. So we are really working to be the more agile that we can. We work very quickly to adjust our production capacity, to first of all to protect our people, because the big point is here is the health of people. That's why the closure of the manufacturing, closure of our boutiques, and now and then reworking all the programs, adapting to the new situation to stay lean and to avoid creating unuseful stocks, and then now trying to figure out what's going to happen and how this deconfinement process will take place, in which speed, if as we all hope will be a progressive and positive one, or if there will be some step back because the situation goes wrong again. So it's really a very, very unusual and unique situation, but as always is also an opportunity to rethink things, to rethink approaches, to try to have new ideas. There's clearly, and it's a learning process in terms of relationship. The fact that we are having now an interview through Zoom and without being physically present is a good example of that. We are using it extensively, both internally, externally, for training, to work in the everyday life. We are somewhere, experimenting which are the opportunities and the opportunities that this gives, and we are able of keeping relationship, of exchanging, of having a real exchange, even if for sure the physical part is missed. But I think we are learning a little bit a new way of interacting and working also. So this for sure will give us a different view even later on.
I think there's been a real appreciation from the market that there hasn't been that the brands, I'm not just speaking specifically about Montblanc, but the brands have not been pushing sales onto retailers who don't really want to be buying stock at the moment. They just want to be, maintaining cash. And I think there's also a feeling that the brands have done a good job at not oversupplying, which is clearly an issue in the last major financial crisis, which fed the grey market for many years, really. Do you think that will avoid going into that situation again of oversupply, which could really undermine prices at authorized dealers?
That's the objective. I hope it will. Then it depends on elements that we don't control directly. It depends, as you said, on the length of this situation and on the speed at which we will be able of getting to a new third situation, which will be living together with it with different ways of interacting. So it's really, nobody knows. We will see in the weeks to come and in the months to come what is going to happen exactly.
And finally, let's look forward a little more optimistically to the next year. I think we're well, I'm certainly very excited about what we might see in Geneva in April next year.
Yep.
It's only going to be Geneva now. We learned today that Basel World won't be happening next year, so it's going to be a real focal point, essentially,
Yep.
around the Richemont show. So, you know, are you hoping that we will see something really spectacular that can, you know, draw a line and light a fire under the future growth of the Swiss watch industry?
But listen, the fact that all the focus and the passion on watches is now coming into Geneva, because I'm speaking with you from Geneva. It's a very good news. I think it's very healthy for all the business and all the watch passion overall. Yeah, what we are trying to do is it's really to continue to build up. So you have seen what we are presenting now with a very consistent development of the 1858 product line, and in particular of Geosphere, which has become really our flagship product, our hero product, how we used to call it. 1858 is growing very strongly all over the world, especially the US, together with Heritage, the vintage classical line. The fact that we link it with the adventure, outdoor exploration, and that this theme will become even more relevant, I think it's a very good opportunity for us to continue to develop the line and to find new customers. And yes, the program will be also very consistent and very strong next year. We are still in a phase of we are still a challenger. We have been built up very on a very solid basis in the last year, and we are really showing that we have as much watchmaking legitimacy as a specialist brand, but there's still room to go. It always takes some time to make it known to all the customers. So yeah, we are really continuing to make a big effort to be the most impactful that we can, and to continue to bring very interesting models, both in terms of design and in terms of technical content, new moves and new complications.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for that, David. I really appreciate you finding time to meet with us today, and best of luck with reopening the plant. And yeah, I look forward to hopefully seeing you in Geneva over the summer.
Thank you very much. The same. Thank you very much. Ciao, Robert.